That was once in a lifetime. That was one of the greatest round ones of all time, of all sports, ever.
I think, though, Beverly Hills Cop RoboCop crossover needs to happen.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Words to My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
You.
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws. He's blown away by that. He's blown away. He never imagined that we would be the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws, but so ecstatic that we are.
Everyone should be excited about that.
I mean, that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing to be bestowed upon you, is be the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws. I mean, because he's very selective on where he lets his chainsaws call home. So.
And he is a champion.
Of everything.
So, big honor.
Of everything. But, welcome into tonight's show. It is Thursday night, so I think you know what we're doing. And that's some sports, bringing you all the action from the wonderful world of sports, as we know it. When I say wonderful world of sports, I really mean like baseball, basketball, football, maybe sometimes golf, hockey, a little bit. Cricket, we're big cricket fans. Huge cricket fans here.
Yeah, we've been known to throw in some other sports topics from time to time, like, who knows, bowling, darts, ultimate taser ball. You never know.
Ultimate taser ball. Hey, that's one of our favorites here at Words for My Face Sports. But tonight we got for you, of course, we're going to be talking about the NBA Conference Finals going on. You have two good series. Well, one just started getting a little better. The other one's been good, so talk about those. Of course, have a really interesting story I came across about the new Tommy John app, as I'm calling it right now. But I'll talk about that. And we got a little bit of Ray Rice and an NFL name that is causing controversy. I wonder what that name could be. Yeah, and it's kind of something that we have purposely never talked about on this show. But we're going to start it off, like we do every week, with our Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award. Blown away again. And this week, it goes to somebody, and now I wouldn't normally give the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award away to this performance, because Rory McIlroy, he is going to be our winner this week. He, just last Sunday, completed a 7-stroke back rally to win the European Championship Tour. And that's pretty big. That's a pretty big lead to be down in golf in the final day, and he won it. But he didn't win it just because of that. Because we all know, and Tiger Woods will tell you this, golf is a pretty mental game. I mean, it's a lot about getting your head around just consistency, fluid movement. And the reason he's getting it is because just, I believe, like 3 days before this tournament started, he broke up with his fiancée, Caroline Wozniacki. So, I don't know.
Wozniacki. That's one for the books.
But Rory McIlroy, you win the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award for not only winning the European Championship, and not only coming from 7 strokes back to do it, but also breaking up with your fiancée before doing it.
This is probably the most relational and somber Chewbacca Chainsaw we've ever given out.
Obviously, he's kind of happy. Probably wasn't a very good relationship if he's like, oh, I got to break up with you, and then I win a big championship. So, but I mean, just all the stress that must be going around with that. And those are two very public figures. Wozniacki is a tennis player, and she's a pretty good tennis player, too. So, that's pretty big.
I just hope that this doesn't give anyone the idea that the way to get to a Chewbacca Chainsaw is to end a relationship.
Well, if you end a relationship and then right away win a big championship, maybe it'll get to you. All right. We here at Words to My Face do not condone relationship breaking up. Any views expressed by the host is just that, the views of the host. All right, so there's the legal out of the way, because I'm not married. The other one is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Roy McIlroy, you get the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award. Yeah, so there's that. And I kind of want to roll this into a different story, one that I find kind of interesting, and that is there is a new app coming out called Throw Like a Pro. And now, if you've been paying attention to baseball in the past couple of years, you've noticed that there's this surgery. It's called Tommy John surgery. It's where you replace some of the ligaments and repair some of the ligaments in your elbow area. And this is done on a lot of pitchers, and it's not necessarily seen as a death sentence for their career. A lot of pitchers have actually come back and been very good afterwards. But it is something that's been happening. It's a very, severe surgery, and it's been on the rise in the past couple of years. I mean, this was invented in the 70s, I believe, for a player called Tommy John. And it's just been more and more and more people have had to have this. And so two doctors, Dr. James Andrews, which you might know him from operating on RG3's knee. You might know him from operating on Adrian Peterson's knee. You may know him from other surgeries such as, I mean, the list goes on. This guy, if you're a pro player and you've had surgery, Dr. Andrews has probably done it on you. And another doctor, Dr. Kevin Willick, who has done a lot of the rehab for said players. So Dr. Andrews sees him, cuts him up, and Willick kind of just rehabs him up after that. And this app is pretty cool.
Do they always work together for the pro player?
No, that was just it. I'm sure they've worked together plenty of times. That's why they did this, but I don't think they always work together. But this app is going to be developed by a couple developers. I don't know what the development company is, but it will be an Apple app. It's being developed for iOS, and it's really supposed to give parents hints for their younger players. They give you preseason workouts, they give you pre-game workouts, they give you different exercises, warm-up exercises, cool-down exercises, and everything, just to kind of help keep those muscles in the right place for longer. They also talk about mechanics and different mental aspects of pitching. So I'm pretty curious to see if this type of thing will catch on, because it's getting pretty serious. A couple weeks ago, we gave the Chewbacca Chainsaw award to a guy named Dylan Fosnatch, and he pitched 194 pitches, almost guaranteeing him a Tommy John surgery in a couple of years. So it will be interesting to see if this really takes off. Maybe this helps prevent some of these injuries, which would be cool.
One would hope, but I got to think that at least by the time they get to high school, there's already trainers that know a lot of this stuff, at least know to do the stretches. Like I remember from my sports days, you always start with lots and lots of stretches to prevent any injury, but it still happens. I don't know anyone that's not doing the appropriate stretches, or I don't know, maybe this is better stretches than what we usually do.
Well, I believe these are more specialized stretches. They really target the muscles that would go bad, and I mean it's developed by these doctors, and they're trying to take and it's some of the people who have seen on the inside of the arm, so they're really taking a new approach to it, just to show different ways of helping keep yourself healthy, because it's obvious that they haven't been keeping themselves healthy, and I would say, don't look to a high school. I mean, me and you went to pretty good high schools where they might have a little bit more in the budget for training, and not all schools do. So this is going to be an interesting way, maybe a high school coach will say, hey, download this app, look at it, check it out, or download it themselves and give some hints and tips. I think it's more of a prevention thing that we didn't have before. It's almost like the NFL's campaign to teach kids how to tackle properly so you prevent concussions later. So I like it.
Yeah, I mean, they've also been leading the game for stretches as well, and all kinds of things to prevent injuries that are easily avoidable. So I like that too. That they're getting that knowledge out there, using media to get that knowledge out there. I mean, hopefully that's not the only way that it gets out, because there's still obviously it's you need a smartphone, and there's lots of us that have it now, but there's still people out there, especially I would assume people go into those not as great as our high school apparently.
Well, no, I
Um,
mean, come on. We went to private high schools. I mean, come
yeah,
on.
yeah, but I'm saying,
And we went to sports centered private high schools. Well, you more than me, but I mean, if they didn't have that in their budget, which I'm sure they probably didn't have all that stuff, you can't expect most high schools to have that.
yeah, but I guess at least if it's out there, that the stuff is common enough that someone around you will have access to it, and the information is just getting out there. So they'll go to other areas, go to other mediums, hopefully get into the schools, hopefully get into the lower schools, um, and help prevent these injuries.
Hmm.
But I gotta think again, though. I guess there's only so much you can do because we still see pro players getting these injuries, and you know that these pro players have been getting the correct, at least, advice since at least college. Definitely college, probably earlier.
Yeah, and a lot of this is working on mechanics. I mean, some of these pros develop mechanics though when they're young, that are more detrimental to their their throwing motion when they get older because they wear more on the muscles. So it helps start good habits when you're younger. I think is the best way to put it. So
Get that
uh,
muscle memory.
get that muscle memory in you,
Yeah.
and they might have like a sensor on the app where it's like put the phone in your pocket, and when you're throwing, we'll tell you if you have good mechanics. Wouldn't it be cool if you had like a redneck voice, be like, "Hey, you ain't doing that right. Don't bid her."
That's what they need. They need to have multiple alternate voices for these
Throw
instructions.
that right.
Who do you want to be your coaching voice this week?
And in a world where you're throwing the ball wrong, I mean, you can do different voices. That'd be cool. Spice it up a little bit. Have a little fun with the app, because
Get
that's
some
what apps are
superheroes
supposed to
in
do.
there. Tell you that's the wrong way to go.
I am Batman, and you're throwing the ball wrong. Yeah, yeah. I can't do a good Batman voice, but yeah, yeah. So, I'm just, it's good to start early and to hopefully it grows while you get older, and then maybe we won't have so many Tom and John surgeries. Hmm. But that's that. So let's move it on to the next story, and that is Ray Rice is in the news again. You may remember a couple months ago he got in trouble for having a video leaked on TMZ where it shows him dragging his unconscious girlfriend out of a Atlantic City elevator. And the story later came out that he had hit his girlfriend unconscious. That is why he had to drag her out of the Atlantic City. And I'm not laughing because domestic violence is funny. It's just the way the press conference went recently to announce that there were no charges being filed and everything. And it was very comical because these two characters, Ray Rice and his now wife, she was his fiance at the time, and I guess she decided it was a good idea to marry him, came out and pretty much blamed it on her.
Both
The
of them.
state, yes, pretty much both of them blamed it on her, and because Ray Rice came out and he apologized to the Ravens organization for being embarrassing, he apologized to his team, he apologized to the fans. No apology to her. And then she came on and said, "I deeply regret my part in this, and this was really kind of my fault." And then their lawyer came on and said that, hey, even if they did press assault charges against Ray, Ray would win because it was self-defense, because she hit him 10 times before he hit her once. And I say to that, bull crap. Bull crap. Yeah, she could hit him a million times, and I still don't think it's justifiable for him to reach back and haymaker her unconscious.
Yeah, I mean, in general, that's inappropriate. Obviously, she didn't hit him to the extent that he was going to suffer a concussion or anything. Um, well, at least as far as I'm aware. And is she some kind of bodybuilder or something? Like, he's a football player. I mean,
Yeah,
come
he's
on.
a 220-pound football player who works out every day, and I believe she's probably soaking wet, like 110 pounds. So, yeah, when you double their weight, yeah, you just got to take a couple punches. That's what you got to do, Ray. I don't care
Or find
what's
some
going
other
on.
like, you hold back her hand so she's not hitting you. Something. You don't need to strike.
Yeah, or you know what? Just
Or
cover
walk
up.
off the elevator.
Cover up,
Walk off.
cover up, and walk off the elevator. Exactly. And situation is defused. But no, 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 no. He reached back and hit her. And then his lawyer said that it wasn't his fault. So I just kind of a little disappointed by Ray because Ray has been an outstanding citizen since he's entered the NFL. He has not gotten in trouble with anything. You always see him in different charities and groups, especially community groups around Baltimore, really trying to help out inner city youth. He's been, a model NFL player up until this point. And had he come out and said, "Look, I'm human. I'm stupid. I was drunk. She was drunk. I'm not excusing what I did. What I did was inexcusable. I should never have laid hands on my wife, my future wife. But it happened, and I'm going to counseling or something to get over these issues." I might have respected him a little more. But no, he came out and said, "Not my fault. Your fault." He didn't. That's not verbatim, but
I mean, granted, she said the same thing, and we had to kind of go with that, so she agreed with it. But that also doesn't speak well for what might be going on. But yeah, I guess it's not going to court. We're only gonna ever get what they say of it, and we kind of have to go with that. But like we've said, it just nothing seems to add up to this being an excusable situation, and the way that he handled it, even if he didn't care, even if their relationship is great, even if really she is stronger than we think, like, come out and say that it was a mistake. Just put it out there so that
say you were wrong. Say you were wrong. That's what I'm looking for. This is America, land of the second chances. Admit to your mistake and let's move on. I mean, and again, if she decided it was worth it to be with him, who are we to judge? But words from my fans, we have a hard line. A hard line. You won't see us really getting mad with most people, but when you step over that line, we throw the book at you, even though it's a really soft book. It's like a paperback. We don't really have hard books that we throw here at Words from My Face.
No, we don't. We're not very big on the book throwing. However, sometimes word gets to one of our associates who is bigger on the chainsaw front.
I mean, we can't control him. We can't. He just does what he does. So that's Chewbacca for you, Wookiees. But let's move it on to another.
We never know what's going to happen there.
Let's move it on to another story that, I've intentionally avoided for a long, long time. But we did have a listener actually post a comment asking us to talk about it. So that's what we do. If you ever wanted to post a comment down below, I probably should have said this like in the beginning of the video. You can, and we'll read them, and we'll respond back to them most times, and we will actually talk about them on the show. So at Words From My Face on Twitter, wordsfrommyface@gmail.com, of course, wordsfrommyface.com. That's such a catchy name, Words From My Face. But also comments down below. We'll check those out, and we'll respond to them, and we'll get back to you. So this story coming from the user. It's one that I've intentionally avoided because it's very, very, how to put it,
divisive.
It's near and dear to my heart, and it's hard for me to get on either side of the fence. I kind of am just stuck in the middle, and that is the Washington Redskins name. And now everybody has heard the controversy behind this. There are Native American groups, especially two, I believe, the Native American Council and the Oneida tribe. I believe they're centered more northeast of the country, but those are two big front runners trying to get the Redskins to change their name because Redskins traditionally is known as a racial slur. And they don't believe that it should be a mascot. Now, they're going to go after probably the Indians from Cleveland after this and some of the other Native American mascot-having teams after this. But they're starting with the Redskins because they say that is the most heinous.
Yeah, I mean, the Indians actually have been hit before with some controversy. I think more so around their logo and the way that it's their mascot it being a less respectful form, whereas the Redskins mascot, the logo, is obviously much more respectful than what the Indians have. So we do have
name itself. Yeah, the name itself is what they're really going after. And we are here in Washington. I am a Redskins fan. And if we do change the name, number one, I'm going to have to change my entire wardrobe. It's going to have to be gone. Number two, you know, all right, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound almost exact opposite. But I believe that words only have as much power as you give them, and meanings of words change all the time. And I think we've taken the word Redskins from a negative context, at least to me, where it traditionally was, and put it into a positive light. I mean, I am a Redskins fan. I'm a Redskin through and through. You know, I bleed burgundy and gold. Those are my colors. That is my team. That is how I identify myself. Football is my favorite sport, and I absolutely love sports. That is my passion. This team has always been there for me, and usually it's been bad, and I still love them. Uh, and it's hard for me when somebody says that this is such a negative word to really to go with that, because again, I've just seen it in such a positive light my entire life. I mean, but on the other hand, somebody who maybe was growing up in the maybe 60s 70s, where this word was probably still used, racially charged, used as a negative towards people, I don't know where I can come off and say you're not allowed to be offended by that. We've changed the meaning. Just get over it. It's not what you think anymore. When they are the ethnicity that is being offended, and I am part of the ethnicity that is offending. So it's hard for me to say that. But again, I just have such love for the Redskins in general. I mean, it's really weird. And the reason I'm bringing this up right now is because 50 senators recently signed a letter, and they sent it over to the NFL, petitioning them to ask the Redskins to change their name. And then also, the Oneida tribe and that the National Council of Native Americans also tweeted every single NFL player in the league, asking them to tweet a message how the Redskins should change their name. So everything's kind of spiraling, and we've really seen this pick up steam in the past 2 years. Last year, especially in the beginning of the year, you heard everybody, Bob Costas, everybody jumped on the bandwagon of change the name. So,
And to be fair, the owner of the Redskins and now the general manager got in on it. If you didn't see his letter, they haven't always smoothed things over. I think that they help keep the fans satisfied, but it seems like everything they do gets the rest of the country a little bit angrier with their response.
yeah, well, when this was brought up like 3-4 years ago, because this pops up all the time, Daniel Snyder was quoted as saying, "You can put it in caps. We are never changing the name." And then he comes out after you had the actual petition by the Oneida tribe hit his desk, I guess, and he came out with a softer tone, talking about how it was part of him, just like I kind of came out and said that I feel that it's part of me, this name, this organization, this team. I feel such a strong connection to it. I don't want to change that. But again,
and honestly, I think that's really the stance of almost every Redskins fan. Like, I feel that way. This is something that to me has never been negative. It's something to aspire to, because we love them so much. It's how we identify that name. We love the team so much. We've always thought of this as a good thing, not as a bad thing, not as something like if I called someone a Redskins, I would only be thinking about the football team for one thing, but it would be
and again,
a good.
and again, that's not how everybody has used that term. That's the thing. Is it was such a negative term.
That's how we have to think. That's how
and
we.
Again, I do believe that you can change the meaning of words from a negative to a positive, from a positive to a negative, and it just becomes part of the common vernacular. What's going on, and I think that that's kind of what's happened. But again, I don't want to say that anybody else can't be offended by it. So, here are words from my face, and this is really, I'm going to give credit to producer extraordinaire Brendan. We have come up with a solution. This should make everybody happy. Redskins fans, Native Americans, everybody across the board should be happy. So, whereas the most offensive part of the Washington Redskins is not actually the mascot, we have an idea. You change the mascot, you can change the meaning of the name. So we're looking for the best Redskin potato out there. Go ahead and send us all your entries at wordsformyface.com, wordsformyface at Gmail, Twitter, comments down below. We're looking for somebody to create a Redskin potato. So instead of it being Native American Redskins, it'll be the potatoes. Yeah?
That's right. and we're thinking get a logo, an aggressive potato.
Aggressive
I don't know how
potato,
you're gonna do
fighting
that.
potato.
Use
And
your
then think
creative
about
skills.
this. Think about this, Redskins fans. Think about this. You won't be offending anybody because we'll have changed it to a potato, and potatoes cannot get offended since they do not have feelings. I do not believe. I'm not
And if they
100%
do,
sure.
I don't care about you potatoes. I'm gonna
I eat you all the time. But so we can do that. Number two is that we can wear these really cool potato heads, like, Green Bay has the cheese heads. We'll have potato heads and little spuds coming out. And then number three is our mascot can be Mr. Potato Head, and think about all the comedy hijinks that'll happen if he runs out on the field and like his eyeballs fall out or his lips fall off or his one arm falls off and he's running around. Hilarity.
Yeah, and if people don't realize, we don't really have a mascot at our stadiums. Like, there's none of the funny mascots like other places have that are over the top. Partially because because we think that would be offensive.
That would probably be more offensive. Yes, that definitely would. Yes.
The closest we have is our band, which the marching band that wears the headbands or whatever. But that's it.
Yeah.
But
So
there's another benefit that I think is going to be great. We automatically have a new great tailgating food. I mean, think about that. Now you're going to have some Redskin potatoes loaded up with that bacon, that cheese,
sour cream,
yeah, butter, all that. That it's going to be amazing.
And send us your potato skin recipes. Send us all your best potato skin recipes in comments down below. Words to my face on words. All the places. I'm not going to go through it again. But yeah, think about the marketing, Dan Snyder. You could be.
And red potatoes are personally my favorite kind of potatoes already.
Those are the best potatoes when you have mashed potatoes to leave a little bit of the skins in there because it's good for color. Adds a little bit of color to it. But I think we've solved the problem. You stop offending people, and you turn the name from. I mean, I'm not going to deny it. Yes, Redskins was a racial slur. Again, I think it was back in the day. Some people are arguing that it's still present. So, again, I won't disagree with any arguments.
Some have argued lately. I don't know how legitimate they are, but there have even been those that have argued that it started as a unifying good term from certain tribes when they would present themselves to the U.S. government or whatever as identify themselves as we are the Redskin nations and things like that. That's there. There is that complicated history.
Yeah.
I just want to put out there that's one of the lines that the Redskins organization has gone with, and they also talk about the polls where it's not offensive, but there's also some question about those polls, but to put both sides out there.
But the reason I didn't mention any of that stuff is because you have a group of people that are offended by it.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Like,
any of the other stuff
where it started, it went somewhere else. Hopefully, like we said, we think that it's gone somewhere else since then, but there's people offended. So. And
I could mention the fact that there's multiple high schools that I've read about on Native American reservations that use that as their team mascot too, the Redskins, the name Redskins for their mascot. And
this is true. But
that's all right because
on the other side of that, they some of those high schools have come out and said that. Yeah, they use it, but they think that it's only allowable by inside their context or from their community. One of those situations. So,
and again, I'm not disagreeing with that.
It's a complicated situation. Complicated.
I do not want to tell anybody they can or cannot be offended by anything. That's not what I'm here for. I'm trying to find a way that we can keep what I have so loved, but change it to make it more acceptable for.
Except for potatoes, I don't care if you're offended.
Yeah, potatoes, we do not care about potatoes. We are not anti-potato here because we are Irish and we love our potatoes. But if we did not have potatoes, half of our diet would be out the window. So, yeah. Hey, I'm all for, coming up with new potato recipes. Just think about it. It'll be the burgundy and gold skins, potatoes, and
there are gold potatoes already.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Oh, man, the food combinations alone. What the heck? Daniel Snyder, you know how many potato skins you could sell? I'm pretty sure they're cheap because that's a part of the potato that not many people really want. So you could make money off of that, too. Plus the new merchandising. Like we said, the spud heads. I mean, come on. I think we need to do it. I think that's what needs to be done.
We need to have this campaign. Like,
Needs to happen. We're
Honestly,
gonna
and I've
start it.
talked to other people
Hashtag
about this.
change the name, change the mascot, not the name. Huh?
Yeah. If you
Hashtag
guys want to sign on for this
hashtag
change of logo to the potatoes, comment below. Let us
comment
know what
below.
you think.
Yes, and we will. And you know what? I'd also like to hear from a Native American who is offended by the name, and would this be an acceptable solution to it? Because you know what? Again, I'm just a white guy throwing it out there. I don't know if that's really acceptable because they'll still everybody will know. And then I also want to ask what I have to do with all my old clothing if they do change the mascot because.
Well, if they just change the mascots, a lot of our clothing will be all right. 'Cause if it just has the words on it.
Yeah,
So
but mine all have the Native American head on
I think I
there.
have one with just says like Washington Redskins, but I don't know.
Yeah. So don't hate on me if I keep wearing the clothes because, like I said, half of my wardrobe has that on there. So sorry, but yeah, I hope we came at that kind of sensitively. Nothing too crazy there. You
You
don't
know
want to
what
say
though?
anything?
I think if they change the name, from our suggestion, we can probably start our own merchandising. Or
Huh?
if you change your name,
Copyright.
if you're watching, if the name changes or if the logo changes, send us some new shirts. Please.
Yeah, that's all we're asking
Yeah,
for.
we helped you solve this
Maybe
problem.
a couple tickets, and some shirts. Like I said, half my wardrobe will have to go away. So if you help me replace that, the name is yours. But yeah,
The
so
logo is yours. You already have the name, the logo.
oh yeah, the logo is yours. The logo is all yours. But yeah, so I'm glad. It's kind of like a weight off my shoulders just talking about that because that's been an issue forever. So, but again, I didn't want to. But I'm glad we did. So I like to hear some good feedback on that one. But let's move it on to the last story of the night. And of course, I buried the lead like I do every week. And that is because the NBA Conference Finals is entering its own stage of epic epicness. Yes.
Epic.
And I'm getting closer to the camera every time I talk because I want to show how epic it is. Okay, I'm backing up. All right, but yeah, so we have some good games, some good series going on right now as we speak. The Spurs are playing the Thunder, and last night we had a spectacular game from the Pacers and Heat. And so let's start off with the Pacers and Heat series. Right now, the Heat lead 3-2, and honestly, before last night's game, it just looked like the Pacers were ready to roll over. They were kind of just done with the series. Hibbert had pulled his disappearing act a couple times. I believe Game 4 he had 0 points and like 2 rebounds. So when that happens, you know they're not doing well. But last night in Game 5, Paul George dropped 21 points. 21 points in the fourth quarter. And that single-handedly held off the Heat, and they won. So now the series is 3-2. Looking for another good game heading back to Miami on Friday night. And really, I look to see the Heat close out the series at home because the Pacers have been on their last legs for a little while. But there was another interesting thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and that is Lance Stevenson has this very interesting defensive tactic where he blows sweet nothings into LeBron James' ear in the middle of plays.
What?
Yes. He's been caught on camera blowing into LeBron James's ear while they're in between plays to try to kind of distract him. So, yeah, and this isn't the first time he's done this. He did this last year too during the conference finals. So, I just
this is not the first time he's done this.
No.
Does he do this to? Not the first time he's done this to him
LeBron
or
James. No,
anyone?
he did this to LeBron James last year in the conference finals. I hadn't heard about it in between there, so that's pretty interesting. But he did.
So it's just a LeBron James thing that he's got going on there.
Lance Stevenson has quite an affection for LeBron James. Now, to be honest with you, both the games he's done this in last year and this year, they've won. So maybe that is the way to defend LeBron James is just blowing his ear, be like, hey.
It sounds like some high school tactics you might see from some of the lower leagues. Just
but hey, if it works, it works. I mean, in the NBA, I mean, LeBron James is such a physical freak. Whatever advantage you can get over him, you got to take as long as you're not hurting him. I mean, don't go out and Tanya Harding his knee, but
Yeah, I'm just hoping that this doesn't become a widespread tactic in the NBA.
You might see that. You might see that happening. But yeah,
I mean,
so
eventually they'll get over it, but yeah, it'll just make things really awkward.
it
Really
really. And
awkward.
what if somebody has a cold, and then you spread a cold throughout the whole league, and then like nobody plays good for like a week? That would suck. So stop blowing in people's ears, Lance Stevenson. This was almost
And
as bad as J.R.
I'm
Smith
also
untying
really just afraid. I'm really afraid of escalation from there. Where are they gonna go?
Wet willies are coming up next. So, you're gonna see players like he licked his finger, put it in my ear. But yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, so I also want to mention two other little things that I believe it was Lance Stevenson and Roy Hibbert have both been fined by the NBA, I believe $5,000 each, for violating the anti-flopping rule. So they got a bunch of floppers, dead fish. That's never a good sign.
All right, all right.
But yeah,
What's the anti-flopping rule?
you can't.
This
You can't.
clarify for everyone.
It's kind of like what you find in the soccer, especially in post plays where you have one guy kind of muscling back against the other guy. You know, there's going to be some contact, and a flop is where somebody kind of embellishes that contact. You'll really see him fly away from the player, even though it really doesn't look like there's enough for that to happen. And that's been kind of a trend, and they stole this from European soccer because that's rampant out there. But they're kind of trying to draw the charges on players or draw like a foul call, like, oh, he hit me in my face. Oh, when you see the replay, like it doesn't even touch his face, you know. So they've been trying to crack down on that, and I like them cracking down on that because that just ruins the game. Basketball, especially playoff basketball, is supposed to be a physical sport, and I don't like it when people taint it with their flopping. So
Not only that, but that ruins a lot of things because if you think about it, you see it in sports all the time. We see on the camera someone's down on the floor, clearly got knocked down pretty hard, and the refs don't call it. Why don't the refs call it? Because they didn't see it, and why don't they care that they see this guy on the ground and what looks to have been an altercation? Because people could have faked it, and yeah,
quit crying wolf.
it happens so much that they're not going to, unless they see very clearly something happen, they're not going to call anything. So sometimes things get by because they're aware that people are going to fake it.
Yeah. So yeah, you ruin it for everybody when you do that. All right. I'm looking at you, Roy Hibbert. Yeah, but and so let's move on to the next playoff series, and this is the one I'm really paying more attention to because this is actually the one that seems it's going to be the better one. And now, like I said, they're playing right now, so please excuse me if I say something egregious because something new happened in the game. But last week I was kind of down in the dumps about this series because it was 2-0 the Spurs over the Thunder, and now this week my whole outlook has been a lot sunnier and brighter. And that is because Kevin Durant has done something. And now this isn't going to show up in any stat.
You brighter if Kevin Durant does it.
Yes, well, Kevin Durant, just seeing his picture makes me smile. But okay, that was a creepy smile. I'm sorry, KD. I won't do that again. But
he's going to do it again. I'm sorry.
I might do it again.
It's going to happen.
I just won't do it again on camera. How about that? That's pretty. That's good enough, right?
Yet another promise he cannot keep.
I can't keep that one. That's true. I cannot keep that one bit. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep moving on with the story then. So Kevin Durant has done something, which now I'm not trying to say he's like Jesus, but I think he imbued his powers into Russell Westbrook, kind of like laid his hands on him and said, "Okay, you can do your thing." Not Jesus-like, but kind of Jesus-like. I don't know if I'm offending anybody with that one, but because Russell Westbrook has had some amazing games the past 2 games. Now, don't get me wrong, KD has as well, but Russell Westbrook is really turning it on. I mean, especially in Game 4, that was one of the best games I've ever seen anybody play in the playoffs. He had something like 38 points and 10 assists. So, I mean, he really has been killing it recently. And I was looking back into the past of this, and also I watch ESPN, and they've said it 100 times. So if you watch ESPN, this isn't going to be new to you. But 2 years ago, the Thunder and the Spurs latched up in the conference finals again. Again, pretty much the same scenario you have here. The Spurs jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and then the Thunder came back and rallied, won 4 games in a row, and made it to the championship. So I think we might be seeing history repeat itself. You never know. because the big thing that happened though was Serge Ibaka returned. Now everybody was reporting that his injury that he suffered in the middle of the last series was going to be a season-ending. He wasn't going to make it back for the playoffs. Well, somehow, again, not Jesus-like, but maybe Jesus-like, Kevin Durant has healed his leg. I don't know. Power Kevin Durant? Huh? Huh? All right, am I going too far? You can tell me I'm going too far. You can tell me when I've hit that line. Huh? 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 All right, I'll stop.
Maybe just Jesus healed his leg. Yeah, maybe that.
Well, you know what?
Maybe it just was.
Maybe he did, or maybe he did. You never know. But all I'm saying is Kevin Durant is amazing. That's all I'm saying. But so Serge Ibaka has come back, and he's really brought that physical presence to the defense because San Antonio, being a little bit of an older team, has relied more on finesse as of recently, and that's not a bad thing. Finesse it's a good thing to have. But when you meet finesse with raw aggression, the only way to battle that physicality is to actually be physical back. And Serge Ibaka, I believe, his first game back, he had something like 15 points and 4 blocks. His next game back, he had like 12 points and another like 3 or 4 blocks. And so they're trying to go around him instead of through him. And when you go through him, yes, he might get a block, but he also picks up more fouls that way. That is why physicality is best met with physicality. Get him in foul trouble, make him back off of the way he wants to play, rather than trying to run around him and let him just block your shots at will. So that's kind of an interesting thing we're seeing. So hopefully for the Thunder, it'll keep up because I love you, Kevin Durant, and I want you to win the championship because you're the greatest player this year, and you deserve the MVP, and you deserve to have the lifetime MVP, and you're the greatest scorer that has ever played the game except for Wilt Chamberlain, and yeah, and you're also from the D.C. area. Hey, and you're a nice guy, and you're humble, and you speak very well because your award speech for when you won the MVP made me cry. Just a little tear, just a little one.
Yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, Brian has, as we've said, quite the affection for Kevin Durant.
I would call it more of an admiration of Kevin Durant.
Yeah, you might want to call it that.
Yeah. But hey, Katie, hit me up. Let me know what you think. If you want me to be part of your entourage, hey. If you want me just to walk behind you all day long and be like, hey, man, you're the man. Don't worry about anybody else. You're just the coolest guy. I'm a good confidence booster. I'll do that for you. You know, you can always hit me up at wordsfrommyface on Twitter, wordsfrommyface@gmail.com. Of course, wordsfrommyface.com, and comments down below. Let us know. And if you think my obsession with Kevin Durant has gotten to an unhealthy man level and I should see a psychiatrist, go ahead and let me know in comments down below. And if you think I'm just weird, you can put that in comments down below. You know?
You can put a lot of things in the comments down below.
It's a miracle. It's a magical thing, those comments down below. You can do a lot of them. A lot of them. A lot. But yeah, so that does it for the show tonight, and I'm hoping the Thunder win. So we kind of ran late. We started late, ran late, but I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we kind of talked about some things didn't really want to talk about, but I think we did all right.
Do you think we did all right?
Let us know in comments down below.
Yes!
But that'll do it for the night, and as always, I am Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
You.
And we are signing out. Peace.